Travis? How you doing?
Not too bad. What about you?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you for being here. Today's podcast, we're just going to get to know Travis a little bit. He's one of my main training partners, a guy that I've known for a while, and he had an incredible story about losing weight, and we're going to kind of get into that too. So today, what I kind of want to start off about is just how you grew up and like where you grew up and where you were born.
Yeah, so I grew up in a little town outside Madison, Wisconsin. Actually, home of Culver's. If any of you guys like Culver's, but Sauk City area of Wisconsin. Went to a small farmer school called Sauk Prairie, and grew up out in the country. It was like a little suburb area of the town, but
Yeah, I was going to ask if you grew up in town or out in the country.
it was. We had neighbors, but it was still. We were
It's pretty rural.
yeah, we were 10, 15 minutes outside of the nearest city block.
Okay. Growing up, you said it was the home of Culver's, so the very first Culver's ever was
Yep.
invented in that town.
Yeah, I went to school with Craig Culver's daughters.
So that's the guy who started the company.
Yeah.
Okay, so you actually know the family a little bit then.
Yeah, I don't know him on a personal base, but I've met the guy. He used to come to our school and do business classes or be a guest speaker for our school.
Okay, yeah, just kind of we made success, so we kind of show you a
Yeah.
successful story from this town. That's cool. Did you have any siblings or anything growing up?
Yep, I had a brother about 3 years older than me. He's actually off in the military now. I think he's about to be done, but he's been in probably almost six years now.
So you're 24, you said?
Yep.
24. Or I'm thinking you're around my age, 28 or so. So he's right around my age then. He's maybe a year younger than me or so.
Yeah.
What kind of made him want to go that route? Did you know?
Yeah, he's up and down. He liked his partying. He liked his school.
Okay.
He finished. He had a geography major, and then he couldn't really find a job. He was in the National Guard at the time, and after he was done with college, he just let's go full time. And then went over got stationed over in South Korea.
Oh wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah, so he likes it.
That's awesome. I was just asking because you seem kind of the opposite of that. You don't seem like you seem more free, kind of going, and kind of like you wouldn't be the military type. So that seems like he's kind of the opposite of you.
Which actually, we'll get into it a little bit later, but I actually tried getting into the military right off of high school, but
Okay.
we can talk about this a little later, but with the diabetes,
Yep.
I couldn't join. It was an instant turn down.
Now that I think about it, maybe tell me some recruiter stories. We'll get into that too.
Yeah.
So growing up, what was the first martial arts? This is kind of a theme that I'm going to ask a lot of people. Is what was the first martial arts you heard about, or the first martial artist you heard about?
Probably the first one. My dad, myself, my brother, we all loved comedy. So Jackie Chan. That was. He might not be the greatest, but that was the one that we always watched. Just anything Jackie Chan. I probably watched them all. But first martial arts, I probably was probably first grade. I'd say joined a little kid's karate class, Taekwondo. Stuck with that probably up until I was a sophomore in high school.
Oh wow, so you did that for quite a while.
Did it for quite a while, but it was hilarious because my mom and dad, my dad not so much, it was more my mom's, but absolutely against any kind of fighting, any kind of violent, anything that could get us possibly hurt, especially like I said with me being diabetic. She was very protective over what I did and how I did it, even though she'll probably hear this someday and be like, it's no, I'm not, but yeah, that's, any mom would be.
Yeah, my mom was the same way growing up. I always get into fights. My dad was the opposite. He was always encouraging me, get out there, play football, fight, get out there and do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely know what that's like. So karate. So what belt did you get up to then in karate? Or was it Taekwondo? It was Taekwondo.
Yeah, Taekwondo.
Okay, so what belt did you end up getting up to?
I think I got up to, fourth degree purple.
Okay.
It was kids. My my brother Andy, he was a black belt.
He was a black belt. Okay.
But I can't remember if he ever got transferred over to the adult or not, but I think he got that when he was 15, 16.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'd still think it would be a kid's level. I mean, we spent a good majority of our elementary through high school career doing it.
So, when you quit doing that, what made you quit wanting to do Taekwondo? Did you find some other kind of sport, or was there something else that you just were kind of doing, like both of them, and you decided you wanted to do something?
Yeah, the one sport, because I mean, it wasn't much contact. It's still good sport, but soccer. I played soccer probably second grade up until sophomore year, and I think I just started getting more into soccer, and then it was kind of like all the other kids at school make fun of me because I do karate, so I'm gonna do soccer instead.
Okay.
And I mean, still get make fun of for playing soccer because I was a tall beanpole in high school, so they're like, you should come over to do football, you should do this, but like I said, my parents are absolutely against any contact sport. But so I did eventually transfer over to football. But
How old were you when you first started playing football?
I was a sophomore in high school.
So right when you quit doing like Taekwondo and soccer, you kind of transferred over into football and more physical sports.
Yeah, and the funny thing is how we got to that was so one of my brother's friends, he was my friend too, actually was one of my groomsmen, but he and myself talked my mom into the sport lacrosse. We told her it was a gentleman's sport. Wasn't much contact, wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, the first year I joined, 8th graders could play on JV. It was just a club, so it's just like 8th graders were playing against seniors in high school. And I mean, our team was just pretty much a bunch of hockey players that wanted to go hit someone or go fight someone, or it was just a dirty team my first couple of years that we played. And I remember the first game my mom came to, she was just like, this is not a gentleman's sport.
So you had so it was on the off season of hockey then?
Yep, it was hockey. I mean, obviously winter time, and then springtime was summertime was lacrosse.
Okay. So then, yeah, like you said, you had a lot of the mean hockey players that were used to checking hard, and that's kind of their job was to check people, and now they're playing lacrosse. So how was it transferring for you, kind of, because Taekwondo is a little bit physical, but as a kid, you don't really get into like, I don't know, did you compete in Taekwondo at all?
Yeah, I mean, I did the Badger State Games a couple times. That's just like Wisconsin's. They just have a thing down in the Capitol where people just come in and all the different schools compete.
Was that more like a point karate system?
Yeah,
so
it's more
just
point. And I think at my level, or like the kids' level, I mean, you weren't allowed to like touch the head. You could like kick or punch to the head, but if you touched it, you got like points deducted.
Okay.
So you had to like do the whole control or whatever. But
so it was a little contact, a little bit physical, but it wasn't anywhere near like lacrosse or football or anything like that.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you to kind of switch from that gear to being more physical? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I think I enjoyed it a lot. Actually, probably people back home be laughing because I spent the most time in the penalty box out of anyone on that team coming in. I mean, once I started playing more and more, I mean, I wasn't afraid to hit people, but I also sometimes probably a little dirty about it. I mean, it was.
That's funny because you're so nice, and when you train together, that you wouldn't expect that. But I see it when you compete too, though, in jiu-jitsu tournaments, that you can see that fire in you. So it's funny to think that you were the most to be in the penalty box. It's kind of it's funny to me, but I can also see that side of you when we train, and we kind of so that's funny to see that. How long did you play lacrosse then?
I played lacrosse 8th grade through senior year, and then I did like a couple years in a club college.
Okay. So it was like, it wasn't for the actual college, but it was kind of like
it was just club. It was like a beer league kind of.
Okay. They have that in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wisconsin, you have anything beer league.
So pads, helmet.
Yeah. You don't want to be getting hit by that ball without a pad
and the stick. I've never played it. It looks brutal. I've seen highlights, and lacrosse highlights and rugby highlights those are probably two of my favorite to watch. I always get scared of football. I see so many people get hurt, and I know so many kids from high school that got so many concussions. But you also played football, right?
Yeah.
So how long did you play football then?
Football, I played sophomore year of high school through sophomore year of college.
Okay, so you actually played college football as well.
Yeah, just that it was UW, University of Lacrosse.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't really play. I was just kind of on the team.
You practiced.
Yeah, I mean, I had the body for it, but I mean, I was way behind brain-wise for the sport. I mean, I had such a hard time learning those plays
That was my worst too. I mean, I quit football in ninth grade. I was too small, and those kids in high school for me at least, it was probably a little different than you. You're a little bigger than I am. I'm a little bigger than I am, but I had friends that were the bigger kids that I was always the cocky little kid. And so when I get into football, they were like, "This is the time we're gonna pay you back." So I had a lot of kids that would kind of rough me up, and so I learned real quick. The first 2 years I was like, nah. I went out for ninth grade, and I was like, nah, it's just I'm too small. This isn't for me. And I was definitely a little scared of that. Luckily, then I found martial arts, and I could be like, oh, a little guy can do this no matter how big you are. So that was perfect for me. So how old were you when you found jiu-jitsu? Because obviously that's how we always connected now. So how old were you when you found jiu-jitsu?
I was about 20. I was right after, because I remember the year before or my freshman year of college, my brother and I actually went into Ironworks down in Holman, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And we had looked at it, and I knew my brother he was always, because he did karate too, like I said, and I mean, he was always more into the forms. He wasn't in much for the sparring and stuff. He wanted to learn the martial art, but he didn't want to actually want to do the actual sparring part of it. Which I mean, now since he's been in the military, it sounds like he likes some of this stuff a little bit more, but he still won more for not getting into fights, and which I mean, it's good for him. But so we ended up turning that down my freshman year. I kept doing football, and then sophomore year, the head coach and I had our differences, so I ended up leaving the team, and then I was just like, I'm gonna go join this. I'm gonna go start training for fighting.
Okay, so I was gonna ask this too. So one of the questions I want to ask you: when you first started training, because you'd already had Taekwondo background, and you kind of got into football, you were in lacrosse, you liked that physical part. So when you went to find this gym, you were actually going to try to be an MMA fighter?
Yep, yeah.
Was it MMA or kickboxing, or was it MMA?
It was MMA.
Okay.
I think I first started off, my first class there was jiu-jitsu class, and I think Dan Leckel was actually the coach back then there. I still remember the first time that I rolled with him. I mean, I was much bigger right after football, and I just remembered I was spazzing out underneath him, and he just sat on me and just held me down, just dude, settle down. And I was just I just felt so helpless against him. I was just still feel helpless against him, but I was just I'm getting my ass kicked here.
Yeah, we get that often still today. We'll kind of get down. We met now. Dan kind of brought us together as well. So you were gonna fight. So how you actually did have one amateur MMA fight, right?
Yeah.
Was it just one?
Yeah.
Okay. So how long did you train before you took your first fight?
Not long enough.
Not long. Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
I think it was maybe 6 months.
Okay.
Training, and I mean I was a heavyweight at that time, and so I mean I definitely didn't take it as serious as I probably should have. I mean, I didn't need to cut weight, didn't need to do any of that stuff. I mean, I was in shape, but wasn't in fight shape.
Yeah.
And then I relied too much. It's I know how to do stand up, but really, I mean, I knew how to kick. Didn't know how to defend my whole upper body though.
Oh yeah, you still have those holes from the Taekwondo.
Yeah.
That distance with your feet. And
so I actually did the majority of my training in grappling, because I was just never wrestled. I've never done any kind of grappling. Actually, I should take that back. Going back to high school, the first actual fighting we did was my senior year. We did a fight club.
Oh, okay.
We had this morning lifting sessions, and then all the seniors and stuff. We had two pairs of boxing gloves and open wrestling room, and we're
So it was lifting practice.
Yeah, it was lifting practice, but I mean, we went afterwards, and the rules were it had to have seniors there, it had to have like refs, and then it was just pretty much two guys go duke it out. Didn't matter who won, just had a good time, but then that got shut down because, of course, freshmen went in afterwards and got the room all bloody and didn't clean it up. And then the janitor, I remember I was helping out at summer school, and I heard over the walkie-talkie, it's just like, yeah, we got blood all over the janitor's room. It's like, we're gonna have to close this down. I think kids have been fighting in here.
Oh,
And we
Jesus.
found out two of the freshmen had been going in afterwards, and I mean, good for them. They're getting an extra time. But
Getting extra rounds of beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, when the last podcast too, you probably seen me and Jay talk about, we kind of had stuff like that too, where we kind of went out to parties and stuff like that, and they always had like the group of the tough kid, and so I can imagine being in a sport where everybody thinks they're a tough kid, and it's like, all right, well, we'll figure out the class. You can lift more than me, but I bet you're gonna beat you up, and so I'm sure that's how it kind of just snowballed into this, and now. So was it kids mostly that were mad at each other, or was it just two kids just agreed to fight and they were just wanted to test each other and see what it was like?
yeah, that was. I mean, there kind of like was a trickle down effect from my brother's class, because my
Okay,
brother's
okay.
class, they loved fighting. Didn't matter if there was a reason or not, they just loved fighting. And then like it kind of trickled down, and my class was kind of like half. A lot of us liked the idea of fighting, but never got into fights. And so a couple classes above us were like, hey, let's do this. And so we just started doing it. I mean, a lot of the times we were just two friends fighting. I remember my best friend and his brother. Best friend, I mean, he was a big old ogre. And his brother was just this mean guy. And I mean, nice, but mean guy. And I remember the two brothers fought, and it was just like, they're going to kill each other. But I mean, afterwards, we went out for breakfast. It was awesome. It was what
Go for
fighting.
breakfast, you're all lumped up and bloody.
Yeah, I mean, that's what fighting should be.
Yeah, that's definitely what it's turned into in the MMA aspect. Is you don't have to hate each other, just get in there and try to test your skills, and it's kind of a male ego thing. Is you just want to see who's the tougher, and when it comes down to it, like physical combat is the best way to kind of figure out who is the most dominant person.
Yeah.
And we kind of figure that out in jiu-jitsu as well. And it doesn't matter how big or small they are. Once they have that technique, they're going to be way more dominant than you. And back then, it wasn't a lot of technique. It was just that raw power and who had the more will. So when you took your first fight, then you had 6 months of training. What was it like leading up to your first fight? Like what was the few weeks like leading up to? And you took your fight. You were a heavyweight back then, right?
Yeah.
So what were you walking around then back then?
I think I came out of football probably right around 270.
Okay.
And I mean, I had a good amount of like muscle behind it, but I mean, I had some fluff.
Yeah.
It was a little fluffy. But yeah, I think I weighed in at my fight at like 273 or something like that. So it was like a catch heavyweight.
Okay. It was like super heavyweight.
Yeah, and the guy I fought, he was like 280 something.
Oh, Jesus.
So, I mean, it was pretty much showed up to weigh-ins with a Big Mac, and it was. I mean, I was pretty calm going up to it. I mean, training. I pretty much just went to the practices, and I mean, I should, like I said, put more effort into it, but.
Yeah. Kind of young and didn't really know.
Yeah, I
Didn't
didn't
what you're
really
kind of
know.
getting yourself into.
It was just the aspect. It's like, hey, I'm fighting tomorrow. It's like, hey, I'm fighting today. And then as soon as I hit that walkout song, I'm still pretty calm. And I hit that cage, and it's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's just like all those emotions just flood into you. And like, I always tell my wife, it's like probably the most scary thing I've ever done, but also like out of all the sporting events, out of everything I've ever done, that was the most like exhilarating,
Like the most thrill you ever had.
thrill I've ever had out of a sporting event. It was just, I mean, my fight didn't. I lost. I mean, I walked right into the guy's power hand, and he got me good. I fell down. It was like one of those little flash knockouts.
Yep.
I started getting back up right away, but the ref was just like, "Nope, this is over."
Yeah, amateurs they want to stop it early.
Yeah.
especially first fight. Oh no, they definitely don't want you to get hurt. They don't know how much training you've done and stuff. So,
Yeah.
So your first fight, you weighed in at 273.
Yeah.
Your guy was 2'8". Was he as tall as you, or was he a short, chubby guy, or was he?
He's
Because
about
you're a
my,
bigger guy.
yeah, he's about my height. I think he was like a D3, D2 offensive lineman or something like that. I mean, he had a good amount of power behind him.
Yeah, so he's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And that fight was for Three Rivers.
Yep.
Was that their very first show?
That was their first outdoor show.
First outdoor show.
At that Loggers Stadium. Yeah.
Oh, that was the baseball field, right?
Yeah.
That was a good setup. The first show went really good, right? With no hit you, and then the second show they had rain, right?
Yeah, the second one it rained.
Yeah.
Because I remembered Gaffney fought Morstan, I think. And
Okay.
then their match got rained out. And then they ended up doing it back again, and it was just kind of a sloppy fight afterwards, just because there was rain.
Oh, okay. So they kind of stopped it in between the fight
Yeah.
for the rain. Came back later that same day and fought.
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit! That's wild.
Yeah. So,
That's a wild story, man. I've never seen that. I've seen a lot of stuff. That's crazy.
yeah. So,
I've seen back in the day they had King of the Cage where they were fighting in the rain. They were
Yeah.
actually fighting when it was pouring on the fucking cage, which is so fucking dangerous. We've had fights. I fought Tyler Grunwald before back in Mazeppa, and it was an outdoor show. So during the day it was like 90 degrees out.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the floor was like blistering hot, so literally people were getting blisters when they were fighting because the cage was so hot. Like you get blisters on their back and shit. And so when it cooled down, it was so humid that it like the condensation had built up on the cage, so it was like a fucking ice rink, dude. So I remember I was fighting, and at one point I got the guy in the armbar, and he was like stacked on top of me, and he just slid me all the way into the cage, and I was just like, "Oh, that sucked. All right, let's try to get out of this." And I mean, there were so many guys you see throwing punches and they just slip, boop, bap, and they're both on their ass. It was so funny, dude. It was so dangerous, but like back then, like it was the Wild Wild West MMA, so it didn't even matter. But it was just one of those things. It was just like, it's so crazy that they have outdoor shows still. Like that's such a
Yeah.
crazy thing to try to pull off. Like it's an awesome thing for the crowd and everybody around, but the conditions, like the hot mat, it's like there's so the wet mat, like there's so many things that it's hard to like keep control of environmentally wise. So it's a great idea, but it never usually pans out. We've had some in like a tent before too, which worked out pretty well. It was like a big circus tent.
Yeah.
Those were always fun. I remember I was sick as a dog one time. I just got my butt kicked. I had a kickboxing match. They were paying me money, so I showed up. So your first fight, let's kind of get into that. So you got in the cage, like you said, it was super exhilarating. Walking up into the cage, you got in. It lasted 30 seconds. You kind of came out, and did you just kind of attack the guy and get clipped? Is that kind of you guys just went at it and got clipped? Or?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like what you would imagine two amateur big guys doing. It's not like it was super fast, but I came out and I just kept jabbing. But I mean, I didn't have the experience behind this. Like, oh, I shouldn't be moving to his power side.
Oh,
I jab, move power side, jab, move power side, and then he just threw one power hand, and I mean, just as I was coming in and just connected. I mean, I don't even know if it was actually that. I mean, it was a hard hit, but I mean, I woke up the next morning and I was like, wasn't even bruised. I mean, there was no swelling. There wasn't even much pain there. It was just, he hit me when I was moving. It was just
clipped you perfect.
It clipped me perfect, and it was
Like you said, you didn't go out. It was one of those flashes where you went down to your butt and you're like, oh shit, and then they stopped it.
yeah.
Those are always the worst when you're standing up and you look up and you're like, how the hell am I down here? Wait, okay, I gotta get back up. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, in the video, you're watching it, and it's like, some people are like, it's a good stop. Some people are like, they could have probably kept going, but I mean, like you said, I would rather have it stop than lost a couple brain cells.
And for you in that aspect, it was better because, like I was kind of saying before, is you didn't really know what you're doing. Like you had trained, but you probably didn't really know after that point how to defend yourself. So probably would got back up and most likely got dropped again, especially already being rattled, which happens a lot in those amateur fights. I get up and then once you're hurt, you kind of get wild again, forget to leave your head open, boom, and you dropped again. So it's definitely probably the best. And I'm sure you're probably not mad at the stoppage.
No.
So then you had your first fight. So what made you? Did you quit fighting directly after that, or did you train MMA for a little while after that, or was it just like after that night you're like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I want to compete in jiu-jitsu, or how did that kind of?
I think the majority of it was I wanted to compete. Like, I hate going off on a loss. I always think about it's like I should do one more. I should at least leave on a win.
We always do, yeah.
But I think the majority of it. I mean, they were awesome. They came to the show. My parents and my wife and some of my friends and stuff. But I mean, my dad is always hard to tell if he liked it or not. I mean, he goes with my mom, but my mom absolutely. I mean, I think she was almost in tears just watching me walk out into the cage. And my wife, she said she was hiding behind my mom the whole time, and I don't even think she actually watched the fight.
Were you married at the time?
Yeah, we were married at the time, and it was. I would say the majority of the reason why I don't do it anymore is because they're so opposed to it. Not that they don't support me. If I were to decide to do it, I mean, they would hate it, but they would still support me. It would kind of be like one of those things. It's like, you can do what you want to do, but we'll come watch you, but we're not gonna like it.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And when I retired from MMA, I had, I got 3 concussions in the same year. I ended up in the hospital twice. Couldn't figure out for the first 2 what it was, and the third one we kind of came to the conclusion what it was I was just getting mild concussions. And there's a couple fighters that have the same thing that happens. So TJ Grant's one of them, and the jiu-jitsu guy, Justin Buchholz, I think his name is, from Team Alpha Male. They both had the same thing, and so I kind of studied it and figured out from that. And so when I decided, I guess it was kind of a family decision, I wanted to keep fighting. I figured I'd just take a year off from getting punched and then come back and fight. And in that kind of year time period, we kind of just decided as a family that it was probably the best interest for me not to fight anymore. And so I know what that's like to be, I'll support you, but at the end of the day, we're worried more about your health and about,
exactly.
You have more things that you can do with yourself than having to beat up each other. And I did it for, a lot longer than you did. I mean, I did it for probably 8 or 9 years straight. So I know I can relate to that aspect of being like, yeah, it'd be nice to go back to it, but at the same time, I don't think it's worth putting that like worry and all that pressure on my family, and just for me to go out there and enjoy myself to maybe get beat up. When there's other aspects of things we could do like jiu-jitsu and like that, and we still get that kind of same thrill of competing and going out there, and you can saw your wife come, and your wife's not gonna hide. She's like, okay, I'll watch Travis get choked or choke somebody.
Oh, she still hides.
So she does.
I remember the last what was the St. Croix games. I think she might have been standing next to you, and I was rolling. It was in the absolute bracket or something, and I was rolling, and she was sitting there just like tweaking out, freaking out about everything, and whoever she was standing next to, it was just like, it's like, he's fine, right?
He does this.
He does this. And then she, by the end of the day, I mean, she was a little bit more calm about it. But I think that was the first tournament she'd ever gone to.
Okay, so when did you decide that you were gonna? So did you decide right away you were done doing MMA because you kind of had to talk with your family and stuff like that, and so you decided it really wasn't worth it anymore?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a struggle at first. I was just like, I think I still went to a couple practices, but then, I mean, I still am trying to finish school, but trying to finish school and stuff, and I'm like, maybe I'll hold off. At first it was like, I'll hold off till I'm done with school. And then I helped the guys train for fights. I mean, I mostly would stick with like the jits and stuff, but then I just started I was already kind of, like I said, when I was training in that fight, I had really been hard on the grappling.
Focus on that.
Yeah, and so I would say the first time I ever kind of really liked jits was my second week doing it. John Fro and Ian Milan down at Ironworks, they're sitting there just like, hey, we're going to the academy. They're having a tournament there.
Open house one.
Yeah, open house one. And it's like, I know you've only been doing this for a week, but what better way to learn? So I was just like, yeah, well, you're not doing anything this weekend. So yeah, I went there and I competed, and I was like, I got my ass handed to me in all the matches I had. And I mean, I was just like, man, it was awesome. It's like, I should be better than these guys. But it was the first time, like, kind of being there, that it was just kind of like that more competitive side of me. Because like most of the time, if you know me, I'm just a fucking panda bear,
Right,
just
yeah,
sitting there. It's
yeah,
like
literally wear the panda bear.
yeah,
too,
it's
so.
like you feed me food and you let me roll. I'm a happy guy. But I mean, that like competition comes around. It's just like it's different. It's
And you've had that since you were little too, then kind of
Yeah.
in sports and stuff. So that kind of was bred into you as a youngster. So when you decided to, so you actually competed in jiu-jitsu. We'll go back to that before you actually did your MMA fight.
yeah.
And so did you want to do that more, but you kind of had your fight planned up, so you're gonna do your fight and then kind of see where it went after that?
I think it was kind of like in between. I think I was doing them before the fight, just because like, hey, I'm getting mat experience. I'm getting competition or actual like combat experience against other people, and I was just like, this will help me for my fight. I won't have as much anxiety or that like build up before. Yeah, the nervousness. That didn't help at all. But
nothing does.
But then afterwards, I mean, John and we just started rolling. We started building more of a relationship, and then it was just, I mean, that summer after that fight, I think I went to a tournament almost like every weekend. I was at a tournament.
Just kind of religiously.
Yeah, I was just like, if there was a tournament, I was at it. Didn't matter if there was only 15 people at that tournament or if it was like 100 some people. It's like I was trying to go to a tournament just to roll and stuff, and then I started wanting. It was more of a fact that it's just like, I want to roll in the next belt class up. I don't want to roll at white belt. I want to roll at blue belt.
So you started doing that at white, because I know you still do that now. You're blue belt. You roll at purple a lot.
Yeah.
So you started doing that at white belt even.
Yeah, I think I did the first like eight, 9 tournaments at white. And I mean, after winning like the majority of like the matches and stuff, I was just like, let's go up to blue belt. Let's get my ass kicked at blue belt. And then got my ass kicked a couple times at blue belt, and they're like, oh, why are you doing this? And it's just like, how else do you get better?
Right.
And so then I started winning a lot at blue, and then another year goes by, and I'm still winning at blue. And then I think it was probably 3 years in that I got my blue belt, or 2.5, 3 years in, I got my blue belt, and then I was just like, got my blue, I'm going to purple.
So you've been competing at blue for a while though already. So.
Yeah, and it's like, as soon as I got that blue, I think the next week I entered into a purple belt tournament. And I was like, I don't think I took any time wasting that, and I was just...
So when you first started doing jiu-jitsu tournaments, did you do gi and no gi, or did you just do no gi?
I just did no gi. I think the first like almost 2.5 years, I didn't even really own a gi.
Okay.
I just did no gi.
So that's kind of probably why you weren't getting that. So you were doing all blue belt gi, no gi competitions?
Yeah.
And you weren't doing any gi competitions?
Yeah, exactly.
And so now you switch though, because now you do all gi and barely do any of the no gi.
Yeah, I think I do like absolute brackets. I'll do no gi, or like the submission challenge where it's like anything
Submission
goes.
only, yep.
Yeah, because I mean I like all the leg lock systems and all that stuff, and it's like you get some of those rule sets in with gi. You can't really do that. So I mean, I like the gi a lot, but I'm better at no gi.
Right. I definitely know what that's like. I was the same way for the first, I want to say 8 years. I trained 9 years. I trained no gi, just MMA basically style no gi. And I started training with Dan. He was like, put this thing on. Like, you gotta get this thing on. You get one of these. I was like, all right, I got a gi. And so I've been in the gi for now probably, I want to say 5 years now maybe. So hopefully we're getting our purple belts soon, because we're both, you're a 2-stripe or 3-stripe now?
3 straight.
3-stripe.
Yeah,
So it's
just
me, you,
have-
and Charlie, right? We all 3 have our stripes?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll have 3. So then we'll be pushing for our purple here soon, which is awesome. Then you'll be going to brown belt tournaments or what?
Man, if they got some around.
If they do, they let. I don't know if it goes that high. Are you allowed to do purple as a purple do brown belts? Because don't they some tournaments do purple and brown together?
Yeah, I think most of the time they do like, at least the ones I've seen, it's like they do that advanced bracket, or it'll be, because there's so little brown and blacks that compete, they'll just do purple on up.
Oh, okay.
And then
Everybody
it's like,
goes.
so you might have just all purples, or you might have that one guy that's the blue belt in the purple belt bracket, or you might have a brown belt. You might have a
So
black
have you
belt.
competed against brown belts in the purple belt division before?
Yep, I mean I think most of them I've ran across in the absolutes.
Okay. Yep.
But yeah, I think I went against one in the purple belt bracket.
That's always a little intimidating.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, he's 2 belts ahead of me. All right, let's see how this goes. At least when I go against, and a lot of times when I go against the higher belts, it's like absolute, so they're a little bit bigger than me. So I'm like, I got an excuse if he beats me. But I remember the last one I went against that little guy who won the
Right.
absolute gi. I remember being like, I'm gonna give everything I got to this guy because he's right around the same size. So I'm gonna see how really good he is. And he was good. He was good. He caught me pretty quick.
I know. I was hoping to go against him, but I never got
I was
the
hoping
chance
you were
to.
going to too. I remember I picked him up and dumped him. And once I dumped him, and then we got to the ground, he went right for my legs and he had me stretch out before I knew it. Went for a knee bar, and I was like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
And like you said, he teaches a lot of those weird leg locks and stuff. So that guy's good. I hope I see him again in another tournament. So you, like we kind of already got into it, you transitioned into jiu-jitsu. So when did you really start like with your weight loss? Because you said that you were right around 270 coming out of high school.
Yeah. I think it was mostly because a little bit of the doctors, I mean, with the diabetes and the doctors, they're like, yeah, we don't want you being at 270. It's not healthy. And so I was just like, I'm going to have to lose a little bit of muscle. But then, I mean, I just started doing, like I said, jits tournaments. And it's hard finding clothes at that weight. It's hard doing a lot of stuff. And you go up a flight of stairs and your breath, and it's just like, this sucks. Yeah. It's like, I'll take the elevator for now. But no, I mean, I started running religiously every day and then doing jits. And I remember actually the first year after Katrina and I got married, she was coming up to Rochester here at Mayo the clinic for her internship, and I was still going to school down at UW La Crosse. So it was funny. The first year we lived apart was the first year we were married.
That's a little weird.
Yeah. So it was. I remember that summer I literally just lived at the gym. I mean, I did my homework at the gym, I ran at the gym, I watched TV at the gym, and I just kind of stayed there. And whenever someone came in, I said, let's roll. I got so much mat experience.
Just there, all day long, so anytime anybody came in, you were just like, hey, you guys want to roll?
Yeah, and I mean, it's
That's
really,
awesome.
and then I could say I dieted, but really, I mean, I watched calories. It wasn't much more than just, I mean, I still ate like shit, but it was
Still eating
just...
Big Macs on weigh-in day?
Yeah, it's like, I still ate like shit, but it was just like, if I ate crappy, that meant I just got to eat less that day.
Oh, okay.
So it was just like, so if I started learning, it's like if I eat better, you round the meals out a little bit more, I could eat more throughout the day. But yeah, mostly once I started being like, I don't need to be eating all this for football. I don't need to be eating all this to maintain this weight for.
You didn't get enough muscle and mass to be pushing people around anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, I lost an incredible amount of strength, but I also lost a lot of weight. I looked better. I remember the first time being able to see like my abs again, not just like little fluff balls on my belly. And
that's a little bit of motivation, like, oh, I'm getting a six pack. It's happening.
Yeah, I'm sitting there just like, it's like I gotta keep running. I gotta keep doing this. And I remember, I think the lightest I was probably last summer. I did a tournament at the 185 bracket. I looked a little gaunt, but I mean, I was sitting there just like, I've lost over 100 pounds now. It's like I'm there. So
yeah, that's a huge milestone for anybody, especially somebody that has diabetes and was that heavy and needed to lose that weight, definitely to keep yourself healthy. So what is your diet now like? Like, do you still just eat whatever and just kind of keep that same momentum of whatever I eat, I gotta make sure I don't eat too much, or
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I kind of go through periods, like definitely when it comes closer to tournaments now, I'll kind of get back onto like, if I want to lose a little bit of weight, or if I want to cut a little bit of weight, I'll kind of cut down on those calories again. But mostly it's just still eating kind of whatever. I mean, a lot of it is rather more on the healthy side nowadays. I mean, I'll still eat my chips, my ice cream.
Yeah,
but
we all have our vices, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's more, we have a lot of homemade stuff. I mean, I love baking, which sometimes my baking isn't exactly the best because I have like cookies.
I mean, it tastes good. It's probably not the best for you, but it tastes awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So, I cook a lot of my meals. I make a lot of the meals, so I know exactly what's going into it. But on the other hand, sometimes I'm pick out on the food too. So it kind of depends. And like, I think we were talking about this the other day. Is just like when we went on vacation. for our honeymoon a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I was trying to lose weight to just go back on the honeymoon because I think I'd gotten back up to like 220, 225 again. And I was just like, man, it's getting hard to put my shorts on, and I should try losing a little bit of weight before I go on. And I mean, right now it's pretty easy for me to fluctuate between like 200 to 220 pretty easily.
Okay. And that's still pretty healthy for you to kind of fluctuate that way.
Yeah, I mean, doctors might not say it's the most healthy, but I mean,
you still feel good at least.
Yeah, I still feel good. It's.
I'm sure anything over that 220 mark, you start feeling like lethargic and like, oh shit, too much pasta, too much, yeah.
As soon as my wife starts making fun of me when I try putting my pants on, I know I need to start losing a little bit of that weight.
That's funny too, because I've seen you before tournaments where you just completely shredded six pack, and I was just like, holy fuck, that dude used to weigh 275. Like, how the hell did that happen? And then we talked about it, and like you said, it's just hard work and just kind of being determined. And you had a goal, and you realized that from a doctor, maybe not even your own, but somebody telling you like, hey, it's probably your best interest for you to lose this weight.
Yeah.
Did your wife help you a lot with that?
Yeah, I mean,
she and like you said, she still kind of gets on you, like, hey, you're kind of getting up there, for your sake and everybody else's, get back down.
Yeah, I mean, one of my old vices she used to always hate me about was I loved energy drinks.
Oh. Which ones?
Man, those Zero Monsters.
The worst.
I mean, because I always think it's just like, just B vitamins and it's carbonated. There's no sugars. But man, I mean, you go through a couple of those, and I remember coming out of football and all that stuff. I mean, I was on like caffeine pills. I was on anything to keep me awake for the longest amount of time and be able to have like efficient workouts. And I mean, I was on caffeine pills. I was drinking coffee. I was drinking energy drinks. I mean, I was probably.
Is that for school and sports? And
yeah,
stuff? Just
school,
kind of
sports, just kind of keep me going. And I mean, I think I got such a resistance built up to that stuff now that it's like I can drink an energy drink and a full pot of coffee and fall asleep. And
That's bad. That's rough.
But I mean, she got on me about that, and then she wanted to start cutting hers because she drinks a lot of coffee too, and she's just like, I'm gonna start cutting my coffee down, but you gotta cut energy drinks out. And I was just like, yeah, it's probably not the worst thing for me to do. Right. So I mean, she definitely gets on me once in a while about staying a little healthier than what I am.
And it's always good to have somebody to kind of remind you, like, hey, you're kind of being tubby this week, like, you're gonna lose it, Man, and I'm sure your wife enjoys you when you have a six pack too. I'm sure she enjoys that a little bit more than the chubby you. So
she likes the six pack, but she always. I remember it was funny because at their wedding, the wedding shower. Okay. It was funny because my dad's side of the family is super religious. I mean, he has nuns on his side of the family.
Oh, jeez, okay.
And I remember that was like the first time her meeting some of them was at her wedding shower. And her friends came up with this game, and they were asking her questions. And one of the questions was, and I was joking because they asked me, like, because I was the one that, like, they asked me all the questions, and then I was the one that put down the answers.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
So then it was supposed to be her answering these correct questions. And so one of the questions was, what's Katrina's favorite, or what's Katrina's favorite part of Travis's body? And I was just like, my ass. Because back then, I mean, it was like, she could barely, but she's just this little tiny thing. She couldn't even, like, fit her arms around me. Like, she had to, like, barely, like, hold her two little fingers together just to hug me. And now, I mean, she can fit her arms around me. But, I mean, that was always, like, her joke. It's just like, your ass is your best part of your body. And so I said that, and she guessed it correctly. So now she's just like, I'll start getting fat again. And her way of telling me I'm getting fat again is just like, I'm liking your ass more nowadays. And I just sitting there just like, man.
Like, so do I keep it or no? Okay, I'll get rid of it.
So then I gotta take it away.
That's funny. So we met, actually, we're kind of getting to how we met now. We met at a jiu-jitsu tournament. Funny enough, like you said, you were going to all the time, anyone that you could. And at the time, I was doing the same thing. And so we met from Austin Heedlich, actually, because I had trained with him at the Snap Fitness when we were first there. And so we had met because you guys were friends, and we kind of bullshitted there a little bit. And then we both competed. And do you remember how you did that night? Did you win that night?
Yeah, I won. I think I had him in I have anyone knows how I roll, I mean, Dan probably hates it sometimes, but I'm just such an unorthodox roller. I think I had him in like a crucifix, rear naked choke triangle type thing.
Okay.
If that makes sense. But
Yeah, just had them all wrapped up in something weird.
Yeah, and it was a cage match too, so I was using the cage too, and it was I mean, I think he went for the takedown, and it was done and over within like 30 seconds.
Oh, so you're pretty used to them 30-second matches.
Yeah.
That's one of your things, whether win or lose, you like to get it done quick.
Yeah.
To see how it is. That night, I think I did a tournament. I went against, I want to say I had 4 or 5 matches that night. I think I ended up getting 4th in the tournament, but
Yeah, that was a long
it was
tournament.
and they're a great group of guys. Valhalla, we kind of talked about them. I'm sure a lot of these podcasts, these first ones, are going to be, because we're all in the same little group, talking about the same kind of groups as Jay actually started training at Valhalla. Was the first gym he actually really trained at, and which is, I didn't know that either. I thought he had trained at a bunch of different places, but I went down there and I didn't know that it was gonna be like in like a little horse barn like that. You know, it was kind of outside. It was pretty cold out there. It was like on the outside, like a golf course, and so we got in there. It was just like a cage on the ground. It wasn't lift up, nothing. You know, and so I remember being like, I remember the first time like I said, Dan, I walked in there and was like, damn, it's cold in here. It's gonna be really cold. We gotta warm up like really good. But it was a fun match. And that was the first time I had brought my nephew or any of my sister's kids to see me compete, and they videotaped it and stuff. So it was a cool experience. But that was the first time we had met. And then eventually you had started. You were at Ironworks at the time, and that's the first gym and only gym besides this gym you trained at, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so your wife was in Rochester, like you said before, and so she was kind of more moving this way for her job.
Yeah.
So you guys kind of decided to move this way, and
Yeah.
you were slowly coming to the gym because you were working in the area too, right?
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, I was more just, she works in the area, but then it was giving me excuses to come up, because I knew Dan from when Dan used to coach down at Ironworks. And I was just like, I should go up and learn a little bit, get a different aspect from what Ironworks was teaching, and teach just kind of that third eye kind of.
Yep.
And then, and I remember during semesters, I was in between, like, because my wife was still renting, and my rental was up, so I just moved in with her up here in Rochester, and I think I stayed with you guys for a month or so.
Yeah. I remember you were here for a while, then you had left and kind of came back for a little bit. Every like week or 2 you were here.
Yeah, and then we ended up buying a house outside one of the little developments outside Rochester.
Yeah, nice little place from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we ended up buying a house, and I still drive to La Crosse to work until I'm done with school, and then plans are to move up here, but, I mean, she works every day up here, so it made more sense for us to move up here instead of her driving from La Crosse area every day up here, where I'm just kind of sporadically driving.
Yeah. And so, do you work here in Rochester as well then sometimes, or do you just work in La Crosse?
Just La Crosse for right now.
Okay, and so she's the one working here then?
Yeah.
Okay. And you go back to Ironworks on Fridays?
Yeah.
Twice a month, something like that.
Sometimes.
Once a month.
If it's to my liking, it's twice a month.
And especially like this time of the year, it's a little harder, especially with it being so cold lately.
Yeah.
I know we were having car trouble. I have the same thing. I'm borrowing my roommate's car right now, so my car's still frozen. So when you decided to move here and come to this gym, were you testing out any other gyms, or was this like ideally like, nope, I like that gym and that's where I want to go? I like Dan is teaching, and I'm kind of familiar with him already from being at Ironworks, and so that you're kind of already committed to this gym.
Yeah, and I think I knew there was Mario's.
Yep.
And there's a couple other like little tiny gyms here and there, but I mean, compared to what I was just getting into when I was coming up here, and then like I'd already kind of made connections with you guys, and I was just like, nah, I'm gonna go there for sure. It's because I think the months before I came up, we had this guy Ray. He came up from Texas. He was like he trained military groups, but he was also a brown belt in jits and very good at leg entanglements. And
Okay.
so,
Yeah. I remember you. Okay.
So I just started getting really hard into those leg entanglements and stuff. I remember that first like week we moved up here. I was like, I can't wait to go to Dan's, because I know Dan likes leg stuff.
Yeah.
And so I remember coming here, and at first it was kind of like, still I'm sloppy with them, but it was just, I was able to like train legs more and more and more, and then it was just kind of like you guys were catching me and stuff. That it's like, yeah, I was hitting you guys with things, but I was leaving myself wide open, and then I mean, you guys kind of like tuned me, and now you guys know all my shenanigans. So
Yeah. For when you go, we won't give away your secrets for anybody who watches this repeating, but we know your little sit-out moves that you like to do and stuff. But I remember when you first started coming up here, I remember like the first couple of times, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that guy from that tournament. Okay, that's cool. So we kind of rolled, we were kind of light, and then I remember like first couple of times you just tied me like a knot and everywhere using your lapel. And I remember being like, this is so much bullshit. And Allie at the time, we had her, and she was just kind of getting me into the lapel stuff too, so I was just kind of figuring out like, oh shit, this thing that's wrapped around me isn't just really hot and like, you know, heavy. I can actually use this as a weapon. And so then I kind of, it was opened my eyes, and I remember that first day that you'd wrapped 2 gis around me, and I was fighting the 1 gi, and the only thing I was doing was pulling the other gi tighter and choking myself. And I remember after that day I was like, I gotta start picking this kid's brain. Every time he comes down here, you got. But you were just kind of coming sporadically at the time. So every time you came, I was like, hey, let me see this. What do you do? How do you work this? And so we were rolling. I was always trying to figure out like your little puzzle, like what the hell is he doing? And so then once you actually told us that you were kind of coming here, I was like, yes, like we have another gi guy like who's actually good with lapel and knows how to do this stuff, because we do a lot of the top pressure, you know, holding people down, passing, bars, you know, arm bars. We do a lot of that stuff. And when I first started doing jiu-jitsu, a lot of mine was all bottom, all no gi.
That's where I'm pretty much at right now. Is I play mostly bottom, and I should be playing more of that top. I mean, once I get to top and I establish that, then I do pretty well. But right now, it's just my problem is I like playing the bottom too much, and it's.
I think too, and you do the same thing I kind of do. Is you like to play bottom so much, is because a lot of times, especially the absolutes, is most times we're gonna be on the bottom. Yeah. We're not the best wrestler, and when it comes to a bigger guy who can wrestle, most times he's gonna take you down. And so then you got to kind of work on getting up and figuring out how to get on top of that guy, or submitting him from being on bottom and kind of getting that distance. And so I think that you do that more as a strategic way of kind of for competing, the same way I do. Is like I like to be under those bigger guys and those wrestlers, so I can kind of feel what it's gonna be like. So when I get there in the high tense situation, I'm already like, oh shit, yeah, I know what to do here. Yeah. And then once I get on top of that big guy, I know I'm gonna be in control because I've worked that. I know how to keep you down. I know how to pin the hips. You know, I know how to do all that stuff. So I think that especially at this stage where we're blue belts, we're still kind of developing this bottom game to where we can stop these big guys who smash us. So once we get to purple, then we can start developing everything and pulling it all together. So I definitely relate to that as well. To that, I like to be on the bottom. Dan always yells at us, be on top, be on top, be on top. But no, there's still strategies and everything, and he still tells us like the best way to be is on top. But our game's different. You know, everybody's game's a little different. So whatever works best for you, do that. But when it comes down to it, especially like we can kind of teach the kids for self-defense and stuff, you want to be on top always in any kind of self-defense situation. So it makes sense in that aspect. And for us as competitors and kind of guys that are trying to figure out and make sure we have a solid, like a whole game, and it makes sense for us to want to play on our back, especially now with this game, you know, because we have plenty of time still to be on top and do all that, but we want to make sure that when we're getting pressured and we're getting beat up on that, we know how to handle ourselves. So what is your goals in jiu-jitsu? And I know you're going to school. Let's go back to where you're going to school for. What are you actually going to school for?
Yeah, so I'm finishing up. This should be my last semester. Should be. But for nursing, it's started off as like at lacrosse. I started off as like a pre-med, pre-PT, and then screwed around in that for a little bit. It's like, this isn't for me. Then I went to what my brother was doing. I was like geography and law, and then I was just like, this definitely isn't for me. And then I was just like, I came back to nursing, and then I changed. Lacrosse didn't have nursing at the time, so I changed over to a different school, and kind of set me back a little bit. If I would have been coming into nursing right out of high school, it probably would have been better for me. Yeah. But yeah, that's what the goals are. Then hopefully work up here in Rochester at that big Mayo clinic up here. But
it's a lot of people, you know, they pay really good there too. So, and good benefits. You always hear great things about working at Mayo, and a lot of people do the same thing like your wife did. They travel here to work there. And so most people, you know, and they're always developing stuff too. This town's growing just because of Mayo, you know, and Mayo's always growing. So so then you'll be an actual certified nurse then, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be
Yeah.
working with doctors and doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so what are you doing right now? Like, cause you do kind of that kind of work, but what are you doing like right now?
Well, on our floor, we call ourselves glorified ass wipers
Okay.
or
okay,
janitors,
yeah,
but
okay.
no, we're
So it's a CNA then?
Yep, it's a
Okay.
CNA,
So that's
which-
the thing my mom did for,
which is
18 years
an
for that.
awesome job. I mean, it's you don't get obviously paid as much. But I mean, if you're going to school and you're doing nursing, you better be an aide. It's like you can always tell the difference between the people that are and aren't. But I mean, you might as well work in the field. That's the closest step to pretty much an internship that you can get. Besides, and I mean,
like you said, you're actually making a living doing it, and you're in the field where you're working with people and you're kind of using
Yeah.
patients and kind of getting that feel of doing rounds and all that stuff that you're gonna have to do as a nurse.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my roommate now, she does that. And like I said, my mom, since she was 18 to, I think she had her business now for 10 years or so. So until that, she was a CNA up until then.
Yeah.
And so I'm pretty familiar with that. Growing up, I was always in and out of nursing homes and loving the old people. So I know that feeling of being there. The glorified ass wiper, that's what all the guys always called it too. So that's always funny to hear. But so you'll be a nurse, okay? And then what are your goals in jiu-jitsu then? Because I know you're like me, you're a diehard, you're pretty much obsessed with this. You're always looking at videos, you're always thinking about it, you're always at the gym as much as possible. You're, like you said, you drive to La Crosse, you drive to Rochester, which is still, this is 25 minutes to 30 minutes drive for you in the freezing cold. And then, it's what's an hour to La Crosse for you?
Yeah,
Somewhere
give or
around
take
there.
to that gym. Yeah.
And so you're definitely dedicated to this. And so what is your end goal? Do you want to have your own gym? Do you want to be a black belt? Do you want to, I think for me, that, just kind of throw out there as an idea for you too, is I want to kind of be a nomad once I get my black belt. I kind of want to just travel around and do a bunch of gyms, and I don't have any kids. I'm not married, so that's a little more of an option for me to be able to travel around the country and hopefully be able to learn from a lot of other different black belts. So like, what is your goal in jiu-jitsu? Like, what is the end game for you?
I mean, definitely, I would say end game, but start game is get to that black belt.
Black belt, definitely.
But I mean, in my mind, in my fantasy, my end goal would be beating King Ryan out at his own game. But I mean, I didn't think by the time I'd get to black belt, Gordon Ryan would be long gone. But
Maybe not. I mean, he's just going against a lot of those guys that were competing before he was even born, or when he was young. Like Cyborg and some of those guys have been competing for 24, 25 years. So maybe.
But I mean, you gotta. In my mind, you always gotta go big. But I mean, and realistically, I wouldn't mind, like you said, traveling around doing stuff. Which I mean, with me, probably by the time I'm black belt, I'll probably have kids by then. Be honest, but. I mean, I'm already married, but I would like to get to the point where people want me to come to their gyms. And I mean, not necessarily even seminars, but they're like, hey, it'd be cool if you came and taught a class. Or like,
Definitely.
I mean, it would be just like being able to go see other styles, other like gyms. I mean, you go on vacation, which I completely missed out when we went on vacation to Hawaii.
Yeah.
May have been a little bit of a sunburnt reason, but I mean, just seeing different like cultures of jits and being able to teach them and then be interested in your teaching and not just be like, this guy's nuts, this guy's crazy, get out of here.
That's for me as well. It's going to be nice to be able to be acknowledged as a black belt. When you show up, you put that black belt on, you kind of get that respect of, this black belt's coming to our gym, show them respect, and we're going to teach them our style and show them. And with the cultures too, you'll notice, at least I've heard from Dan Michael, and I guess I really haven't got the aspect of it yet, but you can kind of see it when you watch guys like Gordon and stuff like that. They're on the coast. Our Midwest style is a lot different than the East Coast, the West Coast, and even the people down south. And so I'd be interested to, if I ever get the opportunity to maybe go to Brazil or somewhere like that, Canada, go see like the styles of different countries as well as different regions of America, and just see kind of how they teach, what they teach, what's similar, what's different. Like, holy shit, I never even thought of doing something like that, So, and I know there's a lot of guys that like to do like berimbolo and stuff like that. And that's more like the West Coast, East Coast guys kind of get into a lot of that stuff where they do a lot more of the butt scooting as to where we do a lot more of the takedowns and top pressure and stuff. So it'd be interesting to, once you get to that level of knowing that you're not just one guy going to show up on the mat as a blue belt, getting your butt kicked like screw this guy, you know.
Yeah.
You show up as a black belt, and they're like, okay, show this guy respect. Everybody's gonna, you know, roll with you properly, and they're not gonna try to rip your head off. And so that'd be great to get that as well. And so I think, especially for young guys like us, I mean, I'm 4 years older than you, but it's a very like logical goal and very plausible goal for us to be able to do that. And like you said, you go take your whole family on vacation and be like, all right, you guys are going to Disney World today. I'm going to the gym. Peace. Like,
Man, if the kid likes it, the kid's coming along.
The kid's going to jiu-jitsu
yeah,
too.
the kid's going to
By
jiu-jitsu.
that time, hopefully you have your wife in a gi. You know, so
Yeah,
just tell her it's for her defense. She works in Rochester. It's a little shady.
I know, I've tried that game so much. She actually came and she tried doing, I mean, I gave her some like little lessons here and there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think if she would have had a different work schedule, I mean, she loved the way that John Pro coached. I mean, I remember the first time she came in and I said like, just go get taught by John. And she went over and John just did like a little one-on-one with her, and she pole vaulted at in college.
Okay.
And I mean, he is amazing. I mean, amazing coach. He can literally take any kind of like sport and relate it to, or any, not even sport, but anything, and relate it to jets. And I remember her, she wasn't like understanding something, and he was just like, well, don't you do this for pole vaulting? And he knows absolutely nothing about pole vaulting. Absolutely nothing. I mean, maybe just a little bit, but he just starts kind of like saying stuff, and she's like, oh, that makes sense. And then she did the move correctly, and he's just like, see? And she came up to me afterwards, and was like, he related this to pole vaulting. I like him.
Yeah, that's always a good coach too, that you could relate it to outside things, whether it's, you know, video games, whatever it is, something that's just like, hey, it's difficult to do this, right? But it's always worth it, you know, and you kind of make it. So, and I know John very well, and every time I roll with him, he's always been great. And going to up there to roll with him a couple times I've been able to was awesome. And what is he? He's got to be pushing 40, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I would.
Because
You look at him.
He competes all the damn time, though. I mean, so a guy that's up there in age, and you know, he's always competing, he's always teaching. Him and Ian have a really great program down there. I know in the last podcast we were talking about them as well. So they're very great guys. And it's always good to have him come down. So I'm gonna start picking his brain to come down here more. And hopefully maybe we can get him down on the podcast as well.
Yeah.
Kind of get to know him a little bit well. Because like I said, he's a great guy at everything. Every time I've ever talked to him, it's always been fun. We always have a great conversation. So
Yeah, you look at him, and like, it's always funny when Katrina talks about him. It's just like, I remember the first time telling her that he was like in his 40s, and she was just like, no, I thought he was like 30 something. And I was just like, no.
yeah.
I mean, you get that a lot with, I mean, fighters either look way beyond their age or way before their age.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. You barely have it in between. Yeah, and he's interesting too because he's got a son, and so I didn't know about his son and that he was on a band and all that stuff as well. And so I didn't know about him until I seen him compete, and I was like, oh, you have a son even? Like, I gotta get to know this guy. I gotta figure out.
Man, I think that they sit there at the dinner table just leg lacking each other underneath the table.
Under the
just
table. Yeah.
wake each other up in the morning, choking each other out with sheets.
They roll hard together. When I seen them roll, I was like, wow, they actually go at it, you know.
Yeah, they.
So we'll get off of jiu-jitsu a little bit. Let's get into video games, something I think that we both kind of have a little bit in common.
Yeah.
We actually, I don't know how much you get into them, but I know that you talked about having this new beta that you're going to play and kind of being obsessed with it. So I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit about video games because it's something that I do a lot of times is I obsess on video games. I've done it so little, but it's something that kind of gets me out of something. Like if I'm obsessing over the podcast or I'm obsessing over the gym or something, like I gotta take my mind off something. I can't sit and watch like a movie because then I'm like writing something down, I'm looking at my phone or I'm doing something. So
Exactly.
I gotta play video games, so I gotta like get into it and then I can get really, and like the other roommate's like, you've been in here for like 8 hours, are you gonna keep playing the video game all day? Like, you been eating today? And I was like, I should probably eat. They gotta like pause it. So I relate to that very well. So growing up, what was some of your favorite video games?
Man, I remember my dad got us. I mean, I think our first one we had was like the original like Nintendo with the old Duck Hunter and
The one you push it in.
Yeah, that one. I mean, I think the only two games we had for it was Duck Hunter and Mario. And I mean, I remember my dad could go forever on Mario. And then hit a little bit later, we got that Nintendo 64. And I remember my favorite game, and still probably to this day one of my favorite games was that old like Legend of Zelda.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that one, I could play that game forever. that was by far one of the best games I think that's ever been made. But yeah, I mean, my brother is big into gaming. I mean, he's huge into gaming.
Okay, so is he the one that kind of got you into gaming, being a couple years older than you, or were you kind of into it at the same time?
I think we kind of were into it at the same time, but he definitely, I mean, he
Took it to another level.
took it to a whole nother level. I mean, he built his own computer. He did
wow.
like, he was just, I mean, we're nerds.
Yeah,
Nerds. But I mean, yeah, I remember my parents always used to have the rule. It's just like, if you want to play half-hour video games, you got to do half-hour exercise. And so, I mean, we were fit little kids, but we played a lot of games.
So we'll kind of get back into that. But, what was the? I remember. I kind of pause for a second. We'll get back into that. But when I was growing up, I remember the first one we had the Super Nintendo. So we didn't actually have the Nintendo that you had to stick the game into. We had just the cartridge, you blow into it, push hit. And I remember the first one we had was like Mario. It was like Mario and Yoshi.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then they had Super Mario is what the first one was. And they had it was like Mario Tetris. I remember my sister used to play like Dr.
Tetris.
Mario or something, but it was like a Tetris version. I remember my sister used to obsess about that. Like my aunt still used to have it. My sister was obsessed with that.
Man,
And
I hated Tetris. Tetris.
The reason why too, I think, is because my sister was so good at it, and she used to just kick the crap out of me. I was like, I'm not playing this game.
I think
I don't have enough patience for this crap.
I was the same reason. My dad could just beat it every single time, and I'm sitting there just like, first black falls, I lose.
Right?
You're like,
I don't know how
this
to
is
do
even
this.
possible.
So another video game I obsessed with too when I was younger was Resident Evil. You ever get any of those kind of games?
Yeah, I think I played the first one, but then we didn't really got a lot of we ended up getting like investing in like all the Xboxes, which now I can play the regret. Because I wish I would have gotten the PS. But
Ouch, bro. Ouch.
I know, right? No, in the perfect world, I have all of them.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I think they're gonna make a console that mixes them all. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, well, at least do like that cross-platform where you can play with friends.
I think they're doing that now actually for Fortnite's the first one. They're actually gonna do that. You can play right now with PlayStation and PC players on Xbox.
Which I mean, it's just I feel like for player base that'd be better.
Dude,
but,
you're gonna make way more money that way. 'Cause everybody's gonna be playing. You can make games that are for everybody too. You know.
well, that's like my brother. My brother originally had the Xbox, and then being off in the military, he gave his Xbox to his girlfriend so she couldn't watch Netflix on it or do whatever.
Yeah.
And then he went off and bought a PS, and I was just sitting there, just like, man, who am I gonna play with now?
Yeah.
And then I found out you guys all have Xboxes up here. Yeah, I don't think we've really played yet.
No, yeah, we're gonna have to. So let's get into that because I wanted to talk about what games you're playing now. So what are the games that you're interested in right now?
Man, I still got my 2 sport games. I wish they still had the old NCAA college football, but
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I still got my Madden, and I still got my NHL hockey. Those are my
okay.
those
are
are my
go-tos?
2 go-tos. But then, I mean, I played the Fortnite once in a while. Suck at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I absolutely suck at it. But I mean, I did Destiny for a while. But I mean, that's a lot of those. It's just more for like, what are all my friends playing right now?
Right,
It's
yeah.
like I remember I worked at a kitchen while I was in college, and they're all like, "Yeah, get Destiny. We're all playing it. We can party up together." And I was just like, "Sounds cool. Go sit in my house and we can party." But it's like now the one that I've been playing now is called Anthem. And I mean, it's not even out yet. It's
That's
just
the
like
beta you're talking about.
yeah, and they don't even call it a beta. It's like a demo.
Oh, okay. Oh, so they went old school with it's a demo now.
It's a demo,
Okay.
but it's beta pretty much. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much whatever. I had a couple friends, like I said, the groomsmen that we were good friends with, and my brother. They're like, "Yeah, we got this. If it's cross-platform, we'll play with you." And I was just like, "I'll buy it just because maybe it'll be cross-platform."
Right. Yeah.
But just something to pass the time, because like you said, I mean, I go to the gym pretty religiously, and then I come here, which I mean, I always confuse my wife about this, because I go to the gym, which that to me is lifting, cardio, agility, like workout stuff.
Yep.
And then I come here and I say I'm coming to roll. coming to train. It's not. I don't call this the gym. It's like this is like my playtime.
Right.
It's like I like lifting and stuff, but that's more work. This is more play, training. I mean, maybe someday when it's getting more serious, I might not think about it as much, but hopefully I still do.
Yeah, definitely. And I know me and Jay, we had the same talk as to where like, and his was more for when he gets in the cage, and mine's more for kind of when I get into the gym and like you do, or like the training is like everything goes away, like all your work problems, all your bullshit with family, all that stuff, it all kind of goes away. You just come here and you have your goal, and you know that you want to get better at this, and your goal is to be the best at this, or be a black belt, be able to be one of the best, at this, and know that you put your time in. So when you come here, you're just focused on that goal, and just whether it's getting better at passing guard that day, or whatever it is, working at leg locks, whatever it is that day, it's just your focus, everything kind of goes away. And so I compared to like the Animal Kingdom the other day is like, to where the animals you see like they're always hanging out, like why don't they do nothing? It's because they know at some point it's gonna get crazy and they're gonna have to like fight for their lives. And so we kind of go through a lot of monotony or a lot of bullshit that really doesn't matter. But then when you get to the gym, you kind of worry and you're like, oh my god, these guys are gonna try to kill me. Like theoretically, they're if you don't tap out, you're gonna die. And so I always kind of think about it. It's like we're kind of simulating murder. We're kind of murdering each other, and a little bit of a simulation. Like, I'm gonna murder my friend Travis today, or Travis is gonna murder me, rip my leg off. So I kind of compare it to like the Animal Kingdom is like they know they're gonna at some point they're gonna have to like get that adrenaline rush and survive, or they're gonna have to like attack something for survival. And so when you come to the gym, it's all about getting better at this and learning how to survive and be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. And so I think that relates a lot to that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of fell in love with jiu-jitsu too. It's just that intensity of like, oh shit, like this is real. Like there's nothing more real than this.
I think I remember my first time hearing someone kind of with that same mindset, which I joke around about it every once in a while too, but I was rolling with Ian back at Ironworks, and I mean, he was owning me. And it was all of a sudden he had me in a rear naked choke, and he starts whispering in my ears like, this is what it's like to die. And I was like, man, that's fucking creepy. It's like
that's a scary thing to say.
But it's just he's totally true. It's like we're out on the street right now, and it's like he'd be killing me.
Yeah, and I don't know if a lot of people, at least like me and you, only kind of think about we're here, so it was just like it's our everyday thing. This isn't anything new to us. But I think a lot of people that come off the street, they're like, those guys are trying to kill themselves. Like, why are they trying to I don't think they like themselves, because they let that other guy murder them. Like, what do you mean? But I can see it being like, well, that's really, they're trying to kill each other every day. And so, I get that, but when you get here, you're like, oh shit, this is really fun.
Yeah.
I've never been, this scared and had this much fun at the same time, It's like, you're surviving, but at the same time, you're like, I survived, now I gotta try to kill that guy. And like a lot of people compare it to human chess, where it's back and forth,
exactly.
Which is it's very, very similar to that in a way. As mindset, you're always thinking, and your brain just never stops. You're just like, oh god, I gotta grab this, gotta move here, gotta do that. So everything kind of is in play. Your whole body's working and your mind's working as well.
Yeah, I can't remember. Ian always talked about. I can't remember which Gracie brother it was, but one of the Gracie brothers was saying it's just like when he rolls with his brother, it's just like. He called it human chess because he's like, he does a move, then I do a move, then he does a move, then I do a move. And we just keep doing moves until one of us makes a mistake. One of us doesn't make a good move. Right. And it's neat looking at that like that, and how in depth some people go. It's like, I might be thinking 3 steps ahead, even though most of the time I'm not thinking. I'm just like, oh, this seems to go here, this seems to go here. And it's but then you got guys that are like Dan, where it's just like, he's not even thinking ahead, he's just thinking through you. He's just like, no, you're doing this. And you're like, oh, I thought I was doing this. And it's like that whole deception, or inception, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, right.
It's like a world inside another world.
And it's that thing too where you can mess up 9 moves ago and think you're good all the way up until that 9th move. And you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that 10 minutes ago. That sucks. That screwed me for the whole rest of the round. Yeah. Especially with someone like Dan. He's like, no. And he's like, oh, that's your mess up. Then he kind of lets you play around and think you're doing good. The next thing you know, you get choked. You're like, how did I get here? This sucks so bad. So, and for me, I'm always trying to learn and figure stuff out. You're always going for legs. And I'm always just like, how do I get out of here? Now I know the basis things to do, and I know that I gotta defend before I attack. Before it was like, I'm gonna attack too, and then I was getting tapped out, and I was like, And that's one of the things I think I tell you too, is like, we're about keeping yourself safe first and then going for it. And that's just something just you get from going with a guy like Dan, who's, once you go with him, you're like, why is this lake always protected whenever you're doing it? It's like, oh, because he's 10 steps ahead of me. He already knows what's going to happen before I even go there.
Exactly.
And so it's like it literally is like rolling with like a master and being like a little kid. Like, how do you know all this stuff? And then you get that like when he's like Brock. When we went to that seminar with Rafael Lima, it was like you could tell that guy has just years and years of information in his head that he could just spit out whatever he wanted to. And you're just like, how do you get there? And then when I was actually lucky enough to roll with that guy, you could tell like he knew every move, and just by like the little movement of my body, he knew exactly where I was gonna go, what he wanted to do to me. It's like, it's so crazy that there's guys that get to that level. I can't wait till we're at that level, because
exactly.
we're pushing together right now, and we're gonna be going to purple together, hopefully brown together, you know, and black together. And so it's really great to see. We'll get back on jiu-jitsu. Obviously, everything comes back to jiu-jitsu with us.
Exactly.
But video games. Growing up, did you ever play Halo?
Yeah.
Were you big into Halo? Because I know you had Xbox, and Halo was huge, especially for, you know, and I'm a couple years older than you, but I'm sure you were getting into video games just around the same time that I was really into Halo too. So did you play a lot of Halo?
Yeah, I mean, I remember 1 and 2 were still the best ones.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
And it was funny, the guy that I was talking about, that groomsman, Jared, his stepbrother was actually ranked, I can't remember what he was, but he was like ranked a pro player for like Halo.
Oh, wow.
And he was sponsored by Mountain Dew. And I remember like he'd get all this like Mountain Dew stuff and like free Mountain Dew and all this like logo stuff, and it's just like all over like video games and stuff. And I was saying, there's just like, I could make money playing video games.
Right.
Completely ridiculous, because I mean you could, but
Yeah, you can nowadays. It's one of those viable options of doing anything you want nowadays.
yeah, all the YouTube subscriptions and all that stuff. But
Now they have that Twitch. It's basically like YouTube, but it's just YouTube for people who play video games. They just stream on there. And
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
upload videos just like YouTube does, like some podcasts stream on there too.
Yes.
So they'll have their live podcast on there.
yeah, my brother did that for a little while. He played a game called Dota for a long time, and it was I never got into it. It was like a strategy game,
Okay.
but
Takes smart people to do that.
yeah, people that have a lot of time.
I'm not that smart.
But no, yeah, we played a ton of Halo, and I think that's why I was talking about that Destiny, is like that reminded me of like the Halo 1 and
See,
2.
that's what I was going to ask you too. I always heard that Destiny was a lot like Halo, but I heard that it was like a rip-off, cheap version of Halo.
Yeah, I mean the multiplayer, I would say pretty much like Halo, but like storyline, you know, they just chop that
Kinda
shit around.
garbage.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it has points of it where it could be good, but it's just mashed together, chopped up parts.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Because when they were like, it was first coming out, everybody was like, oh, it's gonna be just like Halo. It's gonna be the new Halo. Everybody's gonna love it. And then when it came out, all the reviews were like, wah, wah, wah. And I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna spend money on that. A game that I'm playing right now is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, that one, I played that first
Dude,
one.
it is so. I played. Actually, there was Red Dead Redemption, and then before that, there was was it Red Dead Revolver? I think is what it was called.
Yeah.
And it was on the first Xbox.
Yeah, and you
So
could
they
like
had-
go around blowing up the buildings and stuff.
Yeah. It still had that first like shot where you could like point on everybody and then shoot. Blah, blah, blah. And I remember that was the very first one. They had Red Dead Redemption and then Red Dead Redemption 2 now. And I started getting into it really because I bought it and I was playing it, but I wasn't really into it. But I got into it because Dax kept telling me about how good it was and how much he enjoyed it. And so now I've been playing that. And like today, I was playing it because before I was trying to write down stuff for a podcast because you're like, we got to do it today. I was like, okay, cool, perfect. I got to make sure I get all my stuff down. But before that, I was playing Xbox. Then he hit me up and I was like, oh yeah, okay, we got to make sure I do all this. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm kind of obsessing over the podcast. I got to relax for a while. Let's play Xbox. So I played Xbox until I came to the gym. And I was like, I'm glad that we're working out because then we kind of get all this like energy and all this worry about it. And then you just come in and have a good time. Is there anything that you have coming up for you or like that you kind of want to like get out or talk about? Like anything maybe like with diabetes, like because you've had diabetes since you were born, or how does that?
Yeah, I mean, I got it when I was 4, but I mean, pretty much since I can remember, I've had it.
Okay.
Which I mean, that's been a pretty big part of my life, I guess. I mean, I remember going out throughout high school. I was on like a strict diet. I could have only so many carbs per meal, and then like I had to take so many shots a day. And then come say 8th grade freshman year, I got the neat little insulin pump. And put on like 30 pounds afterwards because you're not supposed to just like indulge in food. You're supposed to still stay on the diets and stuff. But it's just like you tell that to any kid that gets this, and it's like you don't need to take shots every single day now. And it's just like party.
Right. Yeah,
But no, I mean it's definitely been a factor. But I like to.
So was there a lot of struggles like growing up, like early with it? Like what was the reason that you kind of found out about it? How was that?
I mean, that was pretty much. It was just a period. Like I said, I remember it kind of, but mostly just remember like the hospital part of it and stuff. But it was, I mean, I just got like sick for a long time. I mean, I just no one knew what was going on, and then finally like they took me to the hospital and they're like, no, he needs to go to UW-Madison. This isn't good. So they took me to UW-Madison and like, yeah, he's diabetic. And then it was just pretty much like a couple day period of getting my parents all this knowledge, and looking back on it now, I mean, they probably were tweaking out back then. They're like, oh no.
They're way in over their head.
Yeah, way in over our heads. What is this? What are we going to do with stuff? But I'd say if I didn't have like the parents I had, it could have been way worse. But I mean, they were so, I mean, she still is on. She still calls me almost every day, trying to at least. And it's just like, oh, did you check yourself? Did you do this? Did you do that? It's just like, Mom, I haven't lived at home for like 6 years now. It's like, I'm still living. But no, she and my dad did good. I mean, she was super strict about it. I mean, logging, when I took the medicine, how I took the medicine. I mean, pretty much. And like my wife always makes fun of me because she's just like, you're a big mama's boy. And it's like, yeah, but I mean,
it makes sense though.
It's like, but then I mean, it's just, I think any guy deep down is a mama's boy, and any girl's that daddy's girl. I mean, it's definitely.
I'm definitely the same way. I'm definitely a big mama's boy. I've been that way forever. My sister used to make fun of it all the time. Like, he doesn't do anything because you love him more. Like, I don't know if that's true, but I mean, I won't say no. So when you were growing up, you said, so like in elementary school and stuff like that, your mom kind of had it on a wrap. So like she'd probably send you like lunch to school and stuff. You kind of had like a certain stuff you'd eat.
Yeah, and I mean, she worked. I mean, like being little country schools. I mean, it's pretty easy to work with their lunch programs and stuff. So I mean, she would work out with the school nurse and the lunch cafeteria people about what was all going on, and I mean, they were all pretty good. But I mean, it's still. I remember. Most of the people. I mean, I would say all those little country bumpkins out there were pretty good people. I mean, the first like that kindergarten, first grade. I mean, you see a kid taking shots and stuff. He's weird. It's like you don't want to be. He's contagious. You don't want to be around him. But then like you start realizing it's just like, oh, he's just one of us. He just wants to play. And then it's like you get a little bit more into it. But it also didn't help that when I was growing up, I mean, I was super shy.
Oh, okay.
Super shy. I mean, which, I mean, now you wouldn't be able to tell that. But I mean, it was, man, I couldn't talk to a girl coming into high school. I mean, I couldn't create a conversation to save my life with a girl.
I'm the same way still.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how I ended up getting attached to Katrina. I think it was literally just chance of luck, but
it
was just fate. But I mean, I was horrible at speaking to girls. I mean, I'd talk and I'd just choke up and I'd be like, yeah, this conversation's over. Just walk out.
I think we've all been there too.
Yeah, but I mean, it was.
So high school stuff like that, playing sports, did the diabetes affect any of that stuff? Like, were you like not allowed to do any sports or anything because of it, or like do you have any like certain restrictions during stuff you couldn't do?
I think that it was more my mom's restrictions than the actual
more safe than sorry.
Yeah, than the actual diabetes, and like she definitely didn't let me wrestle. It's like I always kind of wanted to wrestle, but she always like. I don't know if the story was true or not, but she always like told me the story. It's like, I had a friend in high school and he broke his neck wrestling, so you're never wrestling. And think if you cut weight, what it would do for your diabetes and stuff. Now we see that part now. But
yeah, definitely makes sense.
But no, I mean, for football, that stuff, I mean, it didn't really, I had to monitor it more going in and stuff, and just like I have to monitor it now when I do tournaments, but I mean, it really, as long as it's controlled, it's,
And I feel like you probably have it down to like a science now, kind of where you know
Yeah.
what's good and what's not.
it's
bad.
almost like second nature to me, and it's, like I said, it's more of just a part of me than like controlling me. Which other like working in the hospital, you hear a lot of people. It's like, oh, my diabetes controls me and stuff. It's like, yeah, you just gotta
Figure out what works best for
yeah,
you.
you gotta
I feel like a lot of people, they don't take the time to do that. They just kind of feel like, oh, I'm sick, so I'm going to be sick, and now this is all I need.
yeah. Which granted, I mean, I have a little bit of medical background, so it's like a little bit different. But I also make a horrible patient, so
I know what that's definitely like, if not been the best patient. So then we were talking about you got an insulin pump. Do you have an insulin pump now still?
yeah. It's I mean, it's pretty much you can take it on and off for training, and I mean.
So is it like magnetic, or how does that work?
Nope, it's still like it's like every other day I poke a little needle into me, take it out. It's almost kind of like an IV.
Okay.
But it's, I mean, a little different than IV, but IV connected to like a little machine. But yeah, it's always connected to me, and then like I can uncap the pump, and then like the IV part stays kind of in. But then you roll with it, and sometimes it gets ripped out. It's not like the biggest deal. Just put another one back in, and then.
So you all have it in right now then?
Yeah, got it
Okay.
in right now.
Okay. Is it where do you keep it at in your body?
Usually it's like on my hip.
Okay, like one of your sides or something.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
okay.
because where it needs to be like a more fatty area.
Yep. That's what I was thinking, like your thigh or your butt. That's what I was wondering. Somewhere around there. Especially with someone like you who now you work out so often that you don't really have a lot of fat in your body in certain areas. So
Yeah, that's so. I mean, usually it's like side of my hip, like or like the side of my belly or something. It's just there, but usually I don't do the stomach area just because it's gonna get ripped off.
yeah, definitely.
So
And how does it? So you said in your hip area, does that get ripped off very often for jiu-jitsu, or is that something you kind of had like tested by? Now that's kind of the best area you figured out for that.
yeah, it's like it doesn't. I mean, every once in a while, I mean, I can pretty much sweat it off if it really like if it's a
okay.
really intense workout. I've had it before where it's like maybe the sticker part to the IV didn't stick the best, and it just gets sweated off. But
Okay.
I mean, where I have it now, it's the best, like for not getting ripped off,
Yeah,
I guess. But yeah, it's
So when you did that and you put it in that certain area, was that specifically for jiu-jitsu, or was that just for life in general?
that's more for I guess life in general, because I mean it's for almost all the sports it's been the same. I mean football, you still got a clip there. I actually did rugby for a little bit. That
You're just a wild man.
that was fun. That was more of just like I said, the same guys that worked in the kitchen. They were all playing like club college rugby, no beer league.
There you go.
Two worst things. I mean, beer and rugby can't just go together anyway. But man, I remember the pump got ripped off all the time in rugby. But I mean, that was a great. I could talk for hours about rugby there.
Yeah.
It was-
We'll do another podcast where we just go back in to talk about like sports and stuff.
Yeah, that one
I think
was-
we'll do one with like probably a bunch of us who competed a lot, like me, you, Jay, and we'll just kind of go over some of the stuff that we, like I know Jay wants to do one where he goes over some fight videos of his and stuff. So maybe we'll do one
Yeah.
like that where we all kind of just bullshit for a couple hours.
Having
about
my
some
30
fight stories.
seconds there.
Yeah. Well, I didn't.
This is where
I
I-
can show some of my 30-second loses because I've been in there too. and
This
lost
is where
30
I
seconds, so.
fucked up.
Yeah, it's like this is where shit got real right here. No, but so we'll come back and we'll do another one where we kind of talk about some of that stuff, and we'll get more into your crazy rugby stories. I'm sure you have some just crazy piles and shit stories, and I'm sure you have some lacrosse stories too, where there's pretty wild ones. Yeah, so we'll come back and we'll get into some of that stuff. Is there anything else that you're competing coming up, right? You're coming to compete in March.
Yeah, I believe so. I'm planning on that St. Croix game.
St.
Hopefully that sub challenge.
It's a St. Croix shirt.
Yeah, it's 7-1.
Hopefully they don't get in trouble by McDonald's for this, but it was a good shirt.
And then that sub challenge. I know right now they're scheduled for the same day. Hopefully.
Oh, that's right. I did just see that Coach Dan post that. That's right.
Hopefully they get it changed around.
Ellie's pretty good though. He usually moves it around pretty well, and I think he has pretty good works in with that gym that they do it at. So it's pretty
Yeah, and
it's
definitely.
pretty lenient for them.
Ellie's tournament definitely is going to be a way better turnout. I mean, just more competition. but I gotta love that sub challenge. I mean, that's still one of my favorite tournaments. I mean, Ellie's tournament I love just because it's Ellie's tournament.
Right.
I mean, you don't get
It's a
another
great guy,
yeah, you don't get another tournament like that in this area for that price. Sub challenge I like just because it's just like I'm gonna go rip some legs off.
Yeah, you can
It's
do
like-
anything. It doesn't matter. Everything's pretty much legal there.
Yeah.
No time limits, you know. Like I love that. I love that aspect too. Or maybe it's like a 15-minute. And then
Yeah, it's like
like
15
overtime
minutes.
or something. But
Hopefully I never get past the 5 minutes.
or to 10, geez. I mean, we do some 5s here, which is fine. But 10 minutes is that's where you really start getting. That's like Pride back in the day. Dude. That's why those fights are so well. Because the first round was 10 minutes long. Like, oh my Jesus Christ! Like that's a
Right.
long time to beat on each other. So yeah, we have that coming up. That's probably one of my favorite tournaments too. Is that St. Croix? It's the first one I actually double medaled at in the white belt. And I try to make every one of those. I do two what's every spring and every winter one.
Yeah.
Or is it fall?
I think they do fall and spring.
Fall and spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are great tournaments. Ellie's a great guy. He's always been super friendly when you come there, and they always have a pretty good setup. You've been to a million tournaments like me where there's a lot of fluff and a lot of miscommunication and people don't know where they should be or what times it is, and then they're calling you like, hey, you're here, you're DQ'd. Like, I'm this mat competing. Like, I can't compete now. Can you give me a break? Like, I know I've heard you get called before while you're on the mat and like, hey, Travis is right here. Like, he's doing the absolute still. Give him a break. So that's one of my favorite tournaments for that.
Only
Basically
thing-
for one of those reasons because they keep it pretty consistent with.
The only thing he could do better is if he starts giving those swords back up for the absolute
Yeah,
bracket.
swords, right.
I mean, the belts look cool,
The
but
belts are cool.
there's
You were close to
nothing-
a belt too. Your last one.
Yeah.
You got second place.
There's nothing like it, that sword though. I remember my first time getting a sword, and I was just like,
You've won a sword already.
yeah, that was it was a
Man.
white belt absolute. So that one was fun. But I'm sitting there, and my wife comes home like, what are you gonna do with that? Like, where are we gonna put that? It's just like, this is going above our mantle if we ever have a mantle.
We have a mantle, and if not, we're gonna hide it under the bed in case somebody breaks in. Duh.
Right now, I think it's above my computer. I have like a little jits corner where I have like my blue belt like certificate like up, and I have like all my medals around. And
That's
medals
kinda
aren't
cool.
even hanging up, but they're just like on my bookshelf, and my like sword's like on top of my desk, just like kind of sitting up there. And it's just like, yeah, that's mine.
That's pretty legit. Yeah, I've always wanted to get a sword too and a belt. I never won a belt ever. I always
Yeah.
wanted to be a champion in MMA and win a belt. Never did it. Never did it in kickboxing. Never did it in boxing. So hopefully I can get one in jiu-jitsu. Most likely we'll get one.
Hopefully,
Keep
one of these
pushing.
times we get put into one of these pro absolutes.
I know, dude. Those are
That-
coming up. We're getting close too to those, man, because those fight to wins, once we get purple belt, we'll both be able to compete in those. And
Yeah, what
they have that $1,000 tournament coming up here.
Yeah, that X tournament. What is that? Twin City Invitational.
Yep, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one.
that's
I heard
good.
Damien Hill's in that one, and
Yeah,
I'm not sure who else is in that one, but I heard some other good guys that are pretty good.
Yeah, I've gone
legit
against
guy.
a couple of those guys. I think you got some good
Yeah,
competition.
that guy you went against, that's right. I remember you telling me the guy with the X choke.
Yeah, what is it? I can't remember, Derek or
Derek
something.
something, yeah.
He's
I remember
he's
that.
done fight to win. He's a good guy. I think the last time I went against him, he had like a mat burn or something on him, so I ended up getting him with like a knee bar, but I mean, he was so worried about it not bleeding all over himself.
Oh,
that
okay, yep, I got
He
you.
he just ended up DQing himself. But yeah, I remember the first time going against him, he whooped my ass.
We've all been there. It's
I
always
know,
good to go
right?
against the guy the second time when you're like, yep, okay, I definitely got better.
Exactly.
And it's good because he's still training, and so if you're catching up, then you're doing something right. Because
Yeah.
I've had guys where I went against them 2 or 3 times, they beat me every time. They're like, I'm not catching up at all, bro. Like that guy is still cruising.
I know. I think my going back to like goals or something. I think like every time, I mean, I have that long-term goal, but every time my short-term goal, I mean, it might sound a little ambitious, but every time I walk into a gym, I look at, even if I walk into a room, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be. It could be an airport. It could be a McDonald's. I'm looking for the biggest guy. I'm looking for the scariest guy. I'm eyeing everyone up, just like those little kids. Like, my daddy could beat your daddy up. I'm sitting there, it's just like, I could take this guy on. And right now, I mean, like at our gym, every time I walk into the gym, I see Dan, and it's like, he's the guy I need to beat.
Right.
And it's like, that might be a that might be a long ways away, but I mean, if I don't strive for that every time I come into the gym, every time like I get the chance to roll with him, it's just like, this is the time I get him. It isn't, but this is the time. This is the time I get him.
That's a good mindset to have too, though, because you know, like, even though you improve a little bit, you're like, yeah, see, I did a little better this time. Now I'm getting a little bit closer to beating him every time.
Yeah.
That's a good goal. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever beat Dan. I mean, hopefully one day I'll catch him in something. But he's such a monster, man. But that's always a great goal to have, and I have that same goal too. Is there's days where it's like, this guy beat me up really bad last week, so this week I want to be on top, and I want to control him. I want to make sure that I don't make the same mistakes I did before. And good thing we have about our gym too is, and I talk about this a lot with everybody, is we have a lot of guys that some days, you beat the crap out of everybody, but then the next day you come back and all those guys just beat the crap, and you're like, well, where were they yesterday when I was beating them up? Like, what the heck?
I know,
And so
right?
it's always good. There's never really
I think you and I have a lot of trade-off days.
we do, yeah. Me and you. I have that a lot with a lot of people in this gym, and it's scary because I was the first one to get to 3 stripes, and now everybody's catching up to me. And it's like, am I not doing good enough, or what the heck is going on here, bro? Because now everybody started giving me a fit, man. Like, what really started scaring me was when Dion started giving me a fit, and he's so athletic on top of that. It's just like, oh my god, dude,
Once
you're a
he
monster.
gets some more skill behind him, man, I'm running away.
Dude, for sure, dude. He's so scary strong, man. Shout out to Dion, that freaking monster. All right, well, Trav, I think that's about it, man. I mean, this is a great time. And again, we're definitely going to have you come back.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, definitely. Thanks for coming. And like I said, we're going to be back. We're going to get something to have all of the guests signed to. I haven't really figured out what it's going to be yet. I'm kind of trying to take advice from people, too, and kind of take ideas on what people think we should get, and then we'll kind of get it. I'm going to get a backdrop, so maybe it'll be that. There's a lot of, like, the fight.
challenge.
Yeah, this one's pretty good for now. I like this.
Harder
We
the
were
course,
using
the
the
more
success.
rewarding.
I used that one before, but Jay likes a challenge, so we did this one.
Yeah.
But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a backdrop, and it's just gonna be a lot of like the old fight shirts I did, like I got from like fighting and tournaments and stuff like that. I'm just like cut a lot of them up to where you can see the front and the back of them, and then we're gonna have them posted up and just kind of make like a big like quote out of them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have my nephew do it, and then the center of it's gonna have a big cystic fibrosis quote.
Oh, okay.
And so it'll just be kind of so everybody can kind of see it every day, and like I just know like, some of the shirts have my name on them, some have just have sponsors or whatever. So maybe I'll have everybody sign that once I get that made up. But that's coming up in the next few weeks. We're gonna get that made up. I'm trying to get all the shirts together, and my nephew's gonna do it also.
I'd have plenty of tournament shirts for you, but my dogs keep eating them.
Yeah, I know how that goes. That's for
I
sure.
remember
My sister keeps stealing mine, so it's right around the same thing.
I remember my first one. Dog's a little monster, awesome little thing. But I remember one of my first tournament shirts. It was my favorite shirt, only green shirt I've ever had. And I come home and it was just like a little puppy. This is like one of the first things that this dog chewed up. And I didn't just like chew a little hole. It chewed a hole big enough. It's a little Australian Shepherd. Chewed a hole big enough that it could fit through the hole.
Oh, Jesus.
And so I'm looking at this like, there's no way I'm patching this up. And it's like, but yeah, I think a little.
She's still tearing up shirts?
Just still tearing up anything. You leave.
How old?
He's going on about 2 years now.
Okay, so he's gonna start melting out soon, hopefully.
Hopefully, we got him a boxer puppy to play around with, but that thing just swallows closed whole.
Oh yeah, dude, those.
It sits there,
scary.
and just like a little penguin. It just like pops it up, and then it just like gags on it. And you're just like, no.
Dude, we had what are the Beethoven dogs? What are those?
Oh, Saint Bernards.
Yeah, Saint Bernard. We had
Yeah.
one of those for, I want to say 6 months. But dude, like we had to get rid of it because it would eat socks on the regular, and it would just shit out socks like all the time. Like what the hell is that? And then it ended up eating. Like we had a little basement. We had like a sofa in the basement, and it ended up eating the actual cushion to the sofa, like the square cushions. Put on, ate the whole thing. We were like, what the fuck, dude? So I started like getting sick and shit. So like we had to take it to the vet, and fucking, it was horrible. So we ended up having to get rid of it because it wouldn't stop eating stuff.
Yeah.
So we gave it rid of to somebody on a farm, but hopefully it didn't eat all their shit, but I doubt it. Yeah, so again, we'll bring it back in. We'll have another one. Again, I want to get one where we talk about some fights and some shit like that. And maybe we'll have a fight companion where a bunch of us meet up and we watch fights somewhere. We'll still got to get some more cameras and stuff set up for that, but that's ultimately the goal. Is just
Get our own
do a
little
bunch of
commentary on fights.
yeah, exactly. Kind of like the Joe Rogan does and stealing his idea, but just kind of getting more of
Thanks,
local
Joe.
guys. Yeah, thanks, Joe. We appreciate all your ideas and all the other podcasts. I'm stealing ideas from. Thank you guys. Yeah, but so it'll be a lot more fun, and we're kind of getting more investments now, and we're still looking for sponsors. So if anybody does want to sponsor us, make sure just to get a hold of me on my email. It'll be at the end of the video. So let us know. And so then the more sponsors, more investment and stuff we get in this, then the more fun we can have it, the more creative stuff we can do. So right now we're just kind of the beginning stages. This is my third podcast, the actual second guest. So it's still a work in progress. We're still building. So again, if you guys know anybody who wants to sponsor this, like, share, comment, tell them to email us, get a hold of me, and then we'll get back to you guys and we'll kind of come up with a deal and figure out something to help the podcast grow. Again, check out Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, suicide awareness, addiction awareness, and just know that if you're going through a hard time, you're not alone, and there's people out there that can help you. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.